This is rental car number 71, and today I'm driving the 2017 Dodge Journey Crossroad. So Crossroad refers to the trim level, and in my experience, when you have a trim level with an actual name, unlike LX or ES, it typically means that the trim level is pretty expensive. But maybe I'm wrong, so let's jump over to Dodge's website and see where the Crossroad falls in the Dodge Journey family of vehicles. Alright, so it looks like my intuition was right. The base model is the SE. One step up from that is the SXT. Then we get our Dodge Journey Crossroad. Then a little bit up from that is the Crossroad Plus. And then the GT model is the highest end model you can get. Alright, so we're middle of the pack when it comes to trim levels. Keep that in mind when we talk about what's good and bad about this car. Alright, so let's start off by popping the hood and taking a look at what's underneath. So this is a 3.6 liter V6. It's a 24 valve VVT. This is a little bit extra than your standard model. It comes at about $1,700 more than the base. But you do get a 6-speed automatic transmission. Kicks out about 173 horsepower with some decent fuel economy. Pretty good for a V6. You get 19 miles per gallon in the city, 25 on the highway, with a 20.5 gallon fuel tank. What do all those numbers mean? Well, it means you get some pretty decent acceleration with a minivan-esque type SUV. So I really didn't go that fast. I don't know why, but I can't just do like 0 to 60 in a parking lot. I feel a little self-conscious, so I ended up, slowing down, going around the corner at a nice, even pace. The point I'm trying to make is that the V6 performs really well. You're not going to have any problems accelerating on or off the highway. And driving this car overall is really nice. I put about 170 miles on it, drove it 2 days, mostly on the highway, and it was comfortable. Cabin noise is great, no problems going around corners. All in all, it's a really good ride. Alright, so that's driving and handling. Let's jump inside and take a look at the interior of the Crossroad. First off, you do get keyless entry. That means you can just walk up to the vehicle, press this little button right there, and unlock the car without taking the key fob out of your pocket. There's also leather seats, which is a big upgrade from last week's car, the Chevy Equinox, that had a little bit of a pet hair problem. Alright, but back to the Dodge Journey. Get a decent key fob with this car. It's the same one you get with all the Jeep Cherokees. Dodge logo on the back, lock, unlock, and panic on the front. Nice constructed key fob, has a great weight to it. And you get a push button start with the button right here on the dash to the right of the steering wheel. You also get your standard Dodge looking steering wheel. Got a lot of buttons here. On the left hand side, these help you interact with the center display and the gauge cluster along with your phone. And on the right hand side, you get your cruise control buttons. These work fine, no complaints here. And then you get a nice size gauge cluster up here with that digital screen in the center and some really nice red accents. I like this. I think if you're buying a Dodge, you probably want something a little bit more aggressively styled, and Dodge does a nice job of using red to make this feel, well, a little bit more masculine and a little bit more fun than your standard small size SUV. And real quickly about this digital display, it's a good size, but the fonts are really tiny, and there's not a lot of screens here, so you really don't get a chance to use this quite a bit when you're driving. I mean, I could see it in day and nighttime hours, but I really didn't like it that much, and I tended to use the actual gauges instead. And then shifting your focus to the left of the steering wheel, you get all your standard buttons here: door locks, window controls, mirror controls, dials to control the headlights and the brightness in the gauge cluster. And then if you look down a little bit further, you'll notice that you get a push pedal parking brake located right here. And then since we're on this side of the vehicle, let's talk side view mirrors. I don't know what to say. They're basic, standard size, no bells and whistles, no blindside detection or anything like that, but overall they work just fine. And the same with the rear view mirror. I mean, there's no buttons here, no special features. It's just a basic mirror that works just fine. Above that, you get your sunglass holder, pretty decent size, some decent padding in there, along with a mirror that you can use to see in the back if you're maybe traveling with some kids. And then you get this big empty space that makes me feel like, well, if I had spent more money, I might get some controls here, but you don't. You do get two kind of small lights to illuminate the cabin. I didn't try these at night, but just in daytime I could tell they're not that bright. But enough with my negativity. Let's switch to something a little bit more exciting. Let's talk about the center display, because it really is nice in the Dodge Journey. First off, you get a very large touchscreen. Dodge calls this the Radio 8.4, and it's their 8.4-inch touchscreen. It is an extra cost of about $800, but I think it's well worth it. The screen is super responsive, it's easy to use, and I love that there's dedicated menu buttons all along the bottom of the screen so you can jump to whatever sort of feature you're looking for. And I also think it's important to note that I was able to connect my cell phone via Bluetooth within maybe 20 seconds. I mean, it was that fast. Really nice to see. The center display also has a rear view camera with some decent quality. It's not great, but it works okay. And then shifting your focus just a little bit further, you'll see there are dedicated buttons for part of the climate controls right below the touchscreen. Overall, the climate controls are fine. Nice big knobs with rubber padding on top so you can manipulate them easily. What I didn't like is that some of the climate control features are buried in sub-menus in the touchscreen, so it is a little difficult to get at while you're driving the vehicle. And then at the very base of the vehicle, you do get a storage area with some connectivity. You get a DC power port right here, an auxiliary jack, and a USB port all down there. I liked having this, but it was a little difficult to kind of get to while you're driving the car, even when you're parked, because you do have to reach around that gear shift, and it's just not a very comfortable place to keep your cell phone. So I say it's useful, but not great. You do get two cup holders right here. Good location, so it's easy to reach. Your gear shift, it's a little bit clunky, but you do get a sport shift capability, so that's kind of nice to play around with. And then behind there, you get your center armrest. It has a nice shelf on top with some felt padding. It's removable, which is nice. And then down in the unit itself, you get sort of a modular sort of unit down here with a DC power port and some removable shelving. I don't know, not a whole lot of excitement down here, but at least Dodge is doing something to make it a little bit more useful. The glove box, nothing special here, it's a decent size, but because it's an enterprise rental, there has to be Starbucks napkins hidden in there for you to find. Another treasure. Alright, so that's most of the fun highlights of the front seat. Let's jump in the back and see what kind of features your passengers are going to get to enjoy. First off, legroom. Not bad, but not great. This is with the passenger seat pushed back to what I call a comfortable distance, and you'll see that I have maybe 3 or 4 inches of legroom. Not too bad considering I'm 6 feet tall with some pretty long legs. There's also a center armrest. It's got the cup holders hidden in the headrest, which is kind of strange. And then you'd think that this might open up to reveal some sort of compartment, but it doesn't. That's just the latch for the seat to engage into. And then on the back of the front seat center armrest towards the bottom, you do get a DC power port. That's nice to see. No air vents here. That's because they're located in the ceiling. And also in the ceiling, your passengers get access to their own climate controls. 3 knobs here, fan, temperature setting, and then the direction of where the air is blowing from. So I think the best feature back here is that these seats can be manipulated in a number of ways. They can slide forward, they can recline, you can pull this lever to push it forward to create a space for people to access the third row seat, and they can also lay completely flat so you can maximize your storage space in the back. I actually played around with these seats quite a bit, and I'm happy to report that they're very easy to use. Alright, so that's most of the features of the passenger seats, at least the important ones. Let's take a look at the very rear of the vehicle so we can talk about cargo space and these third row seats. First off, this is the view with the third row seats collapsed. I think you'll see you get quite a bit of room back here. I think you could easily fit a set of golf clubs back here without any problems. And then here's how you manipulate those third row seats. You just got these cords that you can pull on. This one's collapsed behind the seat, but you can pull these up really easily to reveal the third row seats. And then I showed you before, you can manipulate those passengers' chairs so you can access the third row fairly easily. There's 2 seats back here. They're fairly comfortable, but there is some very, very limited legroom back here, so don't expect to put any actual adults in the third row. And then when that third row is up, you do get some storage space back here. Maybe some grocery bags could go back here, but not a whole lot more. So to collapse those seats, you just pull up on these tabs, and you can push them forward fairly easily to really take advantage of all the space back here. And then finally, there is an additional storage unit right here on the floor. Just pull up on this little tab and you reveal kind of a modular unit under here. Not a whole lot of space, but enough for your tools and some basics. Alright, so that's pretty much everything I found interesting in the 2017 Dodge Journey Crossroad. Overall, I really enjoyed this vehicle. So I think after 2 days, 170-ish miles, I'm going to give this one 4 stars. There really is a lot to like about the 2017 Dodge Journey Crossroad. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but this is a $36,000 vehicle, so you should expect some nice features. Overall, I think I really would be happy to rent this again, and I might consider buying it if Dodge would just sort of upgrade the center display in the gauge cluster and maybe add a couple other bells and whistles for me. Alright, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time when I rent my 72nd rental car. Just picked it up. It's a brand new Audi. It's going to be fun. I'll see you then.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.